Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're trying something a bit different. We're looking at a foundational text, Surah 1 Al-Fatiha, often called the opener. It's incredibly short, just 7 lines, but it's packed.
It really is a cornerstone, as you said.
So our mission today, for you listening, is to sort of unpack this. How does such a brief text lay out a whole spiritual framework? We want to zero in on the fundamental themes, the specific divine attributes it highlights, and the core request it makes.
It's almost like a spiritual shortcut, in a way. The structure is key. It moves very quickly from praising God to a personal commitment, and then straight into a request, a supplication.
It really gets to the heart of things fast.
It does. It lays out the core tenets very efficiently.
Okay, so let's dive in. Right at the beginning, that opening declaration. In the name of Allah, the most compassionate, most merciful. It starts immediately with these twin attributes, compassion and mercy. Why both? Right at the top.
Well, that pairing is incredibly significant. Ar-Rahman, the compassionate, often implies a kind of universal, all-encompassing benevolence. Think sunshine, rain, things that benefit everyone. Then Ar-Rahim, the merciful, suggests a more specific, nurturing care directed toward those who seek it, perhaps. Putting them together up front frames everything that follows.
So it's both broad and specific mercy. Is that the idea?
That's a good way to put it. It establishes the fundamental nature of the divine being addressed before anything else is said. These qualities come first.
Got it. Then immediately after that, it declares praise. All praise for Allah, Lord of all worlds. That scope, all worlds, that feels huge.
It is huge, and deliberately so, I think. It immediately counters any limited view. This isn't a tribal deity or even the God of humanity. Lord of all worlds implies mastery over everything seen, unseen, known, unknown. It establishes a cosmic scale right away.
Okay, so we have this immense cosmic scale, but then interestingly, the text immediately repeats the most compassionate, most merciful. Why circle back to that so quickly?
That's a fascinating structural choice, isn't it? You've just been told about the Lord of all worlds' immense power, maybe even intimidating. But the repetition acts like a reassurance, perhaps. It emphasizes that even with that vast cosmic authority, the primary lens, the dominant characteristic, remains compassion and mercy.
So it's like saying, yes, ultimate power exists, but its nature is fundamentally benevolent.
Precisely. It grounds that immense power in those core attributes. It assures the reader, or the supplicant, about the underlying nature they're dealing with.
That makes sense, especially given what comes next, Master of the Day of Judgment. Now we shift from mercy to, well, accountability, authority, reckoning.
A potentially stark contrast.
How does that idea of judgment connect back to the compassion and mercy? Does it contradict it or somehow reinforce it?
I'd argue it reinforces it deeply. Think about it. If there were only compassion and mercy, without ultimate accountability, could there be true justice? Being master of the day of judgment means that the compassion and mercy aren't just sentiments, they're backed by the authority to ensure justice prevails. It means wrongdoing has consequences, and suffering won't be ignored.
So judgment guarantees the mercy isn't, I don't know, toothless.
Exactly. It gives it weight. It ensures that fairness and recompense are ultimately realized. It offers comfort to those who face injustice now, and it acts as a check on everyone's actions.
Okay, that sets a really powerful stage. We have this divine source that's defined by overwhelming mercy, cosmic scope, and ultimate authority for judgment. And then the text pivots. It shifts from describing the divine to a direct personal declaration. This feels like the heart of it.
It really is the turning point, the covenant.
It says, you alone we worship, and you alone we ask for help. That phrase, you alone, is repeated. Why such emphasis on exclusivity for both worship and seeking help?
The structure, in the original Arabic, emphasizes this exclusivity even more strongly, actually. By placing you alone first, it locks the focus. It's not just, we worship you, but it is only you we worship. And linking worship and seeking help like this, it implies they're inseparable. True worship involves acknowledging ultimate dependency, and seeking ultimate help should stem from that position of devotion.
So you can't really have one without the other, according to this text.
That seems to be the implication. Worship without reliance might be mere ritual, and reliance without worship could be seen as purely transactional, maybe even opportunistic. This demands a complete orientation.
Okay, this you alone we ask for help part raises a big question, though, especially for, living in the world. How does this square with relying on, well, other people, doctors, employers, family, society?
That's a critical point of practical theology, isn't it? How do you reconcile absolute reliance on the divine with the necessity of interacting with and depending on worldly means? The understanding often hinges on differentiating between ultimate reliance and instrumental reliance.
Okay, explain that difference.
Ultimate reliance is placed solely on the divine, the source of all power, existence, and sustenance. Everything truly originates from and returns there. Instrumental reliance is on the means, the tools, the systems within creation, doctors, jobs, technology. These are instruments, pathways, secondary causes. We use them, we interact with them, we depend on them instrumentally.
So you rely on the doctor as a means, but the ultimate power to heal comes from God.
Precisely. The danger, the potential break in this covenant of you alone, comes when you elevate the instrument to the level of the ultimate source. When you believe the doctor alone heals or the job alone provides security, independent of the chosen will.
So it's about maintaining that internal perspective, that hierarchy of reliance.
Exactly. It's about recognizing the true source while engaging with the necessary means. That's the balance implied by the pledge.
Okay, so that pledge is established. Total devotion, singular ultimate reliance. What comes next? The request.
After defining the relationship and making the commitment, the text moves to the one specific thing asked for.
Guide us along the straight path. Not wealth, not power, not even immediate relief from problems, but guidance.
Yes. The request is for direction. The implication is profound.
Yeah.
If you're on the right path, if you have that guidance, then everything else truly necessary will fall into place, or you'll have the wisdom to navigate whatever comes.
It prioritizes direction over destination almost, or maybe direction as the key to the right destination.
Well put. And notice, it doesn't leave straight path as some vague concept. It defines it immediately.
Right. The path of those you have blessed.
So it's not just an abstract ideal. It's defined by precedent, by those who have already walked it successfully and received divine favor. You're asking to follow in the footsteps of the blessed.
It makes it historical, tangible, like asking for a proven route.
Exactly. It connects the request to observable, desirable outcomes, the state of being blessed by God.
And then just as important, it defines what the path is not. It provides the contrast.
Crucial contrast, yes. Not the path of those you are displeased with, nor of those who are astray.
Okay, let's pause here. Two distinct groups are mentioned as not the path. Those God is displeased with and those who are astray. Why two categories of error? What's the difference?
This is a really subtle but important distinction. It suggests there isn't just one way to deviate from the path. There are at least two fundamental failure modes. Think of those you are displeased with, often translated as earned your anger. This group seems to imply knowledge and rejection. They knew the path, they understood the guidance, but they consciously chose to defy it, perhaps out of arrogance, rebellion, or negligence.
So that's intentional deviation, a moral failure.
That seems to be the common understanding, yes. The displeasure arises from a deliberate choice against known truth or guidance.
And the second group, those who are astray.
Adalin, those who are lost or astray. This category often points towards unintentional error. People who might even be sincere, but they lack correct knowledge, or they misinterpret the guidance, or they simply get lost. They wander off the path, not necessarily out of malice, but out of error, ignorance, or misjudgment.
So one group deliberately ignores the map, the other group maybe reads the map wrong or loses it.
That's a helpful analogy. One is a failure of will or integrity, perhaps. The other is a failure of knowledge or direction.
Wow. So the prayer is asking for protection from both conscious rebellion and unintentional error. It's asking for both moral integrity and intellectual clarity.
It's incredibly comprehensive, isn't it? It covers the spectrum. You need the will to follow the path and the clarity to see it correctly. The request is for complete guidance, guarding against all primary ways humans can falter.
That really does make it a complete framework, even in just those few lines.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, let's quickly recap the flow for everyone listening. It starts with praise, defining God through core attributes: compassion, mercy, lordship over everything, master of judgment.
Defining the relationship first.
Then that foundation leads to the personal pledge. Exclusive worship and singular ultimate reliance, you alone.
The covenant, yes.
And only after that relationship and commitment are set does it move to the single petition, the request for guidance on the straight path.
Defined both positively as the path of the blessed and negatively avoiding the paths of the consciously defiant and the unintentionally lost.
Praise, pledge, petition, a very clear structure.
And notice how much weight is given to defining the nature of the divine before the request. The who and why are established before the what. The relationship precedes the ask.
So what's the takeaway here for you, the listener, whether this is a text you recite daily or something you're just encountering now? Well, here's a final thought to consider. The text clearly defines the goal guidance, the path of the blessed, but it puts equal emphasis on defining what to avoid.
The two ways off the path.
Right, the displeased and the astray. Think about how powerful it can be to clearly define the negative outcomes you want to avoid. Sometimes knowing precisely what constitutes failure, whether it's deliberate error or accidental wandering, is just as crucial for staying on course as having the positive goal in sight.
It forces a kind of dual awareness, checking your intention and checking your understanding.
Exactly. Maybe the best way to stay on the path involves constantly checking your heart for that deliberate disregard and constantly checking your map, your understanding for those unintentional errors. That clarity about failure modes might be key to success. Something to think about. Thanks for diving in with us today.
Qur'an, Qur'an, Qur'an.